Hello and welcome to Right to Choose. I'm Dr. Yana Harris. This is my girl, Christine Cooper.
Hey.
Christine. All right, so this is Right to Choose, a podcast or a video, whichever way you're watching or listening, where we talk about the aftermath of abortion. And for those of you who may be joining us for the first time, feel free to subscribe to our podcast or our videos, is kind of wherever you are, and feel free to follow us on Instagram at Break Free Abortion Healing. You can also email us at breakfreeabortionhealing@yahoo.com to learn a little bit more about what we do here in our ministry. Now, Christine and I are both post-abortive, and if you're not seeing us, we are both Black females, African American, whichever you choose to say. And we had abortions in our teen years, so we have experienced that, and we've also walked through different healing journeys. So with that being said, tonight we're going to talk about, why do I need healing? Why is that even a thing? Why is that even a conversation? I think it's a good conversation, whether or not you've had an abortion, just so you can understand why this is a conversation at all. So that's what we're going to talk about. Even a backstory on how Christine and I met. Christine was in a production, I guess I should say. Production. And I went to the production to support another young lady, and I really wasn't even sure what I was going to. And I didn't realize that the entire production was an all Black female, not cast, because it was not acting, it was their own personal stories, but an all female group talking about their abortion experiences in different ways. And Christine did a spoken word, and I was like, oh my gosh. So I went up, because I'm slightly assertive. I will not say aggressive.
Slightly.
Okay. I was aggressive because I wanted to know more about her. I wanted to know just where she was in her healing journey and see how we could partner at some point. I knew that we were supposed to be connected, and even in that moment, not sure how. And that was probably, what year was that?
2018.
That was 2018. So here we are today in 2021. So we have become family. So it is beautiful. So when I met Christine, I asked her, had she been through healing Bible study and been through any sort of healing process other than kind of the therapy of writing? And she said no. And I was like, oh, okay. So we got her into a Bible study. Forgiven and Set Free is a Bible study that we use in different areas. And she went through the study, and I was her facilitator. And I believe at some point she may have almost hated my old guts. Praise the Lord. You're supposed to break in and say no.
I don't want to lie.
She was not really pleased with me all the time.
I love you today.
Today, she loves me. Yesterday, though. So we one of the first things that we do talk about is, why do I need healing? Like, why is this even a thing? Even women who, like Christine was talking about her abortion publicly, but had not really started to reconcile what healing she might need. So that's what we're talking about tonight. Is that all right, Mrs. Cooper?
Yes, ma'am, doctor.
All right, let's go.
Yeah, so what I can really say is, it's interesting that you mentioned the production that we met at, because in doing that spoken word, I felt as though I was healed. I thought, how could I not be healed if I'm up here giving such a personal testimony, right? This is the first time I had ever shared my abortion story, honestly. And so I just knew, yeah, I'm healed, 100% healed, whole and well. Mm-hmm. And so when you were asking me, to join this study group, Forgiven and Set Free, in my head, I was like, but I'm good. Like, I don't need to go to that because I really feel like I'm good. I don't think God wants to do anything else with this. But as the Holy Spirit continued to prompt me, which I think was about 8 months had passed before I'd actually joined the group. It was at that point in chapter 1 of our book, How Do I Know Where I Need Healing, that I could really recognize, like, oh my gosh, this whole time in my life, since my abortion up until that moment, I have been experiencing the aftermath, the pain of abortion. And I could pinpoint so many things in my life that I didn't realize was related to my abortion experience. And so what we're talking about tonight of how do I know that I really need healing, or, why do I need healing? I think it really all comes down to recognizing what God's best must be for my life and how I am for sure living a life that is opposite of that. And so for me, it's so many things. I definitely experienced avoiding, I realized that I was struggling watching movies or having conversations, reading things that had to do with abortion. So I don't know if you're familiar with like that movie For Colored Girls. And so that abortion experience that young lady went through, that scene, it made me so sad. Like, of course, I had heard about abortion before my own and everything, but that particular scene, it was like I was taken back to my own day of abortion.
Right.
And it made me realize I still feel fresh. This feels like it just happened. And that was years after that movie had come out. Also, in some areas, I realized that I needed healing. Is there was anger, sorrow, guilt, all of that rose up in me whenever I would talk about the topic of abortion, not even my own abortion, just the topic of abortion. And before I had shared my story. Again, still not understanding that these are all signs of, girl, you need God to step into this, because there's true grief that you're dealing with that you don't even realize that you're in the middle of, even though it was so many years later. Definitely struggling to understand if I could have children. And I think that is what led to the promiscuous life that I was leading for so many years, is trying to prove that I could still have kids, trying to prove that my body wasn't defective now that I've made this terrible mistake, and that my womb could still hold a baby, And so it was all of that, kind of culminated together. One of the biggest things I would say is my sense of, or my dealing with intimacy and relationships towards people had changed drastically. There was femininity issues, I think, from that point. There was trying to use sexualization as control. There was, there were just so many things. And in going through this class, I realized, oh my gosh, in your mind, when you're in the acts of these things, they don't feel abnormal. They don't feel dysfunctional. They don't feel like there's some sort of, connection that you need to, or some sort of issue that you need to address. And so once I realized, like, oh my God, these are not normal things. Like, this is common in post-abortive women. And the fact that it's in this book tells me that I'm not the only person that has gone through this. And it also tells me that it is, I don't want to say natural response to abortion, but for lack of a better term, the way our life changes in these particular ways is a natural response in the grief process, I guess, of abortion.
Right.
So Yeah, I think the first step in healing is recognizing the places that you need it, but also recognizing the places that you're not allowing God into to even be able to notice when his hand is on it. You know, his hand is,
Right.
you know. So what would you say? Like when
Yeah.
or how or where, or did you know, like, yeah, I need
Yeah.
him.
Right. So I had my abortion when I was 16, and I was 26 when I was sitting at my desk in my office. I was working at a university. I was a professional. I wore suits to work. I was serious. I was sitting in my office. It was Christmas time. And I may have told this story before, but I was, I just literally just bust out crying and was a mess. Like I was a mess, sitting in my office. And whatever reason, I drew the connection to my abortion. I drew the connection to the grief, but I didn't call it grief. I knew that I was depressed and had been depressed, and I had become extremely promiscuous and hot messness in my life. And I did not connect the pieces of, like, I knew I was sad and depressed about my abortion, but I didn't understand that my whole abortion situation had bred such mental health issues. And I'm sure we'll talk more about that even in later episodes. But it,
Right.
when I was sitting, that was the first thing that made me know something ain't right. So when I started the healing journey, and it is a journey, not a destination. It is like, you guys, it's a process.
So true.
Yeah, when I started, I started seeing different pieces. I started seeing the pieces where I was afraid of that something would happen to my daughter, because by that point I had another child. I had what I didn't realize until going through the study, that I had consistently allowed myself to be in relationships with people who were emotionally unavailable. And it was like the people who were promiscuous themselves, aka hoes, people who had commitment issues, and then further into my life, being in relationships with people who were not just emotionally unavailable, but physically, like sleeping with someone else's spouse, and being in those relationships and not even making the connection. And still till I started walking through this healing journey, realizing, oh my God, like this goes back to that moment of decision. And that was crazy. Like I was like, whoa, didn't know. And having walked with a lot of women, there are so many spaces where they go, whoa, never thought about this
Right.
connected to my abortion at all. And that is scary, because what I find is we are stuffers. We stuff stuff so far down that it doesn't seem like it's an issue anymore. Like our dysfunction becomes normal.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like you were even talking about, you didn't process that these behaviors and thought processes weren't normal. Um, and from something as simple as knowing your worth and your value,
Right.
settling, like in relationships, I was a settler. Like it was almost like my self-esteem was so low, but people didn't know, because I gave an air of confidence in my professional life and my personal life, and used sex as a weapon. But I did not think highly of myself at all. There was, I felt less than. So if someone paid any attention to me, I felt like, well, I need to give him all of me. And
Right.
then, and it just, when you start giving all, then you lose so much
Right.
yourself. So for me, that was a major why I needed healing. And even from it may be a little deep for folks, but once I had started having these consistent overflow of sexual relationships, then I had developed so many soul ties with so many people. It's like trying to get untangled from the knots,
Right.
being in these multiple relationships, these multiple sexual experiences, that were bred out of these decisions in my life.
Right.
And even opening up healing from your abortion opens up so much stuff. It's like it becomes more than just the abortion. It becomes, wait, all the stuff that happened to us as children. It becomes our father issues. It becomes our mother issues. These things start to manifest. In our last episode, one of our last episodes, we talked about generational curses and relationships in our parental units that are or are not discussing hard issues, so
Yeah.
that's some real like space of, okay, wait, I didn't realize I needed healing in this. Mhm.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's interesting you talked about the soul ties, right? Because at some point, all of those deposits, because that's exactly what it is, let's just call it what it is.
Yeah.
All of those deposits, right? They begin to reshape you at some point, and
Yeah.
to the point where it's like you almost don't even remember the person that you were. And I think for me, that was one of the telling things, like, okay, you need healing, because I remember I kind of look at my life, and you talk about it often, but in a before and after type, before my abortion, after my abortion. Before, I just recall myself being so vibrant and like super full of life, and like I didn't have relationship issues. I was like friends with everybody, and life was amazing, life was good, right? And then afterwards, there was a complete change. Now, it was gradual, granted,
Right.
like it wasn't like a hard cutoff of relationships,
Mhm.
but as it continued, as the cutoffs happened, there was no building of any others, at that point. And it's like the relationships then that were being built were those dysfunctional ones, like you're talking about,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
With these guys and stuff that is really just a whole identity issue. And then my identity in itself is now being lost in who they are and their issues. So now I got issues on top of issues on top of issues on top of mine.
Right.
And it's just,
Mm-hmm.
it has to be something better than that. It has to come a point where you say, like, I've said to myself, like, God, I honestly don't know what you want to do in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who you called me to be, but I know that my life today and the person that I am is not your best. So I need you to do something, like,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting you say that. I think that abortion can stunt your growth. Like, whereas we're teenagers living our life, everything is great. We've got a plan. We're going to go to college. All this stuff is going to go on. And then we hit this wall, and when we hit that wall, who we were to become stops. It's like no movement. And then trying to get ourselves in a place where we start to discover who it is that God wants us to be in the midst of our story. It's that all things work together for them who love the Lord and are the called according to his purpose. So he's
right,
sovereign, that all the stuff that we have piled on top of our mess, he's like, okay, I'm gonna use that.
right,
I'm gonna use that. And that to me still, I don't know about anybody else, but it is mind blowing that in the midst of our mess, there becomes the message, that whole proverbial statement of, without the mess, there's no message. That's
Right.
sure. Like looking at it, and like you said, like, God, what is it that you want me to be? And how do you want me to use this? Because I am consistently clear that nothing is wasted.
Right.
Like there are women and men who need to hear our story, who need to have these sparks of conversation for them to be like, hold on a second, I never considered this. Christine sent me a video the other day of a TV show. Jesus Christ. And it was a snippet, and I've considered going to watch the whole show, but I
Right.
know the little lead character lady who was leading the conversation. And apparently, I guess these women are on some sort of show. And I don't know, she's trying to role model or mentor them. It's a whole different situation.
Yeah, she is. That's the whole situation.
She's a hot mess herself. God bless her. And she's trying to mentor these women. And she's giving, sort of a kind of a motivating talk. And one of the ladies starts crying.
Mhm.
And she asked her, like, why are you crying? And she said, life's been hard. Things have been rough. I've made some bad decisions. And she said something to the effect of, I guess she was with a guy and she had an abortion to keep him.
Right.
And
Yep.
then he didn't stay anyway. And so she's crying. And that part was one thing. But the part that shook me, now, every woman that I saw in the scene was Black.
Mm-hmm.
I think everyone was Black. I think the lady leading it has some other national heritage with her. But there's a woman in the crowd of them, because they're all standing like kind of in a group. She says, dang, double homicide, because the girl said she was pregnant with twins and she aborted twins. And the girl in the thing says double homicide. And when she says it, it was like, oh my God.
Right.
There were so many pieces in that moment. The clip is short, but in that moment, it's first is like, okay, wow, God bless her for opening her mouth at all. Second, the fact that somebody said double homicide, that's not necessarily untrue, but it was
Right.
lovely, non-compassionate in the moment of her brokenness. But the part that made it worse was the comments on the video.
Terrible.
The comments, social media, we won't even have to deal with the levels of hot mess, foolishness, and as I call them, keyboard thugs. The way the people responded to the girl who said that she had the abortion, the consistent message that stood out was, there are some things you need to keep to yourself. You don't need to tell anybody this. And it was the consistent secrecy. And I'm like, this girl is walking evidence that she needs healing. She's crying in this moment.
Yes.
And felt slightly safe because she
Right.
had an emotional connection with the woman leading the show. She felt slightly safe in that moment. And not just the woman standing by her tore her down, but the internet ripped her to shreds and says, you should have kept your mouth shut. What?
Right. There's some things you just don't say. Why would you say that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, if this woman was interested in getting healing, in being healed, from her decision that she clearly regretted, she was standing there like weeping. She was so hurt by what she had decided to do.
Right.
If she was looking for any sort of healing, the crowd, the woman in that crowd rather, completely destroyed, eradicated that possibility for her in that moment, which is so unfortunate. Because why would anybody stunt someone's healing process? First of all, another woman to do so, and then another Black woman to do so. And then it's just like a continual, perpetuation of, as we talked about previously, secrecy and what we for whatever reason, expect in the Black culture, in the Black home.
Right, right. It's interesting because when you were saying it, I thought to myself, if she would have broken her leg and she needed a cast, we would want her to get a cast for that break to heal things. But because she had an abortion, she is somehow unworthy of the healing and forgiveness.
Right.
And that is many times, I'm gonna be real, that is one of the most controversial topics in the community of pro-life and pro-choice.
Yeah.
It is you made the decision, so basically you live with it. And we don't think the same about other areas many times. This is the unforgivable sin many times. It's the you chose this, you did this, you need to pay the price. And it's like, boo, I'm paying the price every day.
Right.
I'm paying the price every day.
And that's the misconception. I think the misconception is people think that because, women like us have made that decision to choose abortion for whatever our reason is, that it still doesn't stick. Like when we got off of that table or in whatever process that we went through, after that day, when the baby left our bodies, that the experience left us. The decision, left, it didn't. I mean, if anything, that's something that's thought about every single day. I know for me, it's thought about every day. There's a reminder, if it's not just my own thoughts, just in the world that we live in some way or another, where I am reminded and I remember my child and I remember that decision. And that's something that's that thorn, right?
Yeah.
Every day, that one's not going to be removed.
Yeah. So when you said that, I had to go find it. I kept this quote. I couldn't even tell you where, but it was in 2017. There was a quote I read, heard, or something from a man named David Reardon. Can't remember right now even who he is. God bless.
Right.
And it says, abortion is not a magical surgery which turns back time to make a woman unpregnant. Instead, it is a real life event. It is always stressful and often traumatic. It is what a woman chooses when they run out of choices. The alternatives are too awful for her to contemplate. Every woman is changed by abortion. It is profoundly disturbing because it involves death and loss.
Wow.
And it is a thing I always remember. And as people who may be listening, as women who may be listening, even as people who, like, you may be the one person who knows about your cousin's abortion or your friend's abortion or your sister's abortion, and you start thinking about the promiscuity, you start thinking about how she's overachieving in her career. That was me, working super hard in my career to work my way up, to prove that I am wonderful and worthy. You see her dealing with not being able to be in stable relationships, and even her mental health. You see all of these patterns, or you see these patterns in yourself, your inability to make choices, the inability to see children, even how you respond to other people's children, which could be you want to hold everybody's child, that was me, or you want to avoid everybody's child, so all of these.
That was me.
Yeah, so you have all of these different things that will be signs that make you go, wait a second, I never considered that. Even the word abortion, people would do those rallies where they stand out and they hold the signs on Blanding Boulevard. I'm in Jacksonville, and there was this major road, and I'll never forget it. They would hold these signs with the pictures of aborted fetuses, and I would be about to lose my mind.
Right.
If people talked about abortion, politics and abortion, if they talked about abortion in church in any way, form, or fashion, I was always stressed. And even I'm carefully listening now as to how the church responds to abortion. That's a whole nother show. Hello, all by itself. But when you're looking at these different things and you're hearing these things and they're resonating with you, it could mean that you need some healing, sis. It could mean that God is calling you. This is your sign. You've been looking for a sign. You've been wondering, like, something's not right, or you're starting to see these things. You might need healing. This might be your moment. This might be your time. There are abortion healing Bible studies. There are abortion healing retreats. There's a Rachel's Vineyard retreat. There's Forgiven and Set Free Bible study. There's Surrendering the Secret Bible study. There's Deeper Still retreat. There are pregnancy resource centers around who offer healing for abortions. They offer healing for you, and healing is your portion. It is what is wanted. It's not just something we throw out lightly. It is, and you deserve to be healed. You deserve to be able to move past this. So if that's you, if that is something that you're struggling with, or you hear pieces, or even if you're like, I don't know, but maybe, reach out. breakfreeabortionhealing@yahoo.com. Send us a note. Follow us on Instagram, inbox us, DM us, however you need to reach out to, and we can help direct you. We can help send some guidance to. There's pregnancy resource centers. Even if you type in abortion healing near me, go into one of those places, call anonymous, whatever that looks like for you, so that you can walk into a place of healing from this. It's not just this moment. Talk to your counselor. Some of us are in counseling and we haven't mentioned this because it's the shameful secret. Talk to them. Talk to your counselor. Talk to your people. Share. Talk about it. Anything else you want to say, Mrs. Cooper, as we prepare to wrap this up tonight?
No, I mean, you definitely hit on it all. I think that this is the first step to anybody's healing, is recognizing that they're hurt, and recognizing that they need it. So, kind of like, again, even if it's difficult to really pinpoint and say, okay, I'm doing this, that, and that because of my abortion, and I know it for sure, but you just know that there's something different about you. You're just not the same, that in itself is cause, I would say, to begin the journey. Because unfortunately for like Iyanna and myself, probably took years and years and years, 10 plus, to realize that our lifestyles and the things that we were diving into was directly tied to our abortion. At that point, we were living completely dysfunctional lives. So the earlier that we can, earlier that you can, ladies, recognize a change in who you've become,
right,
the better I think it would be for you.
Right.
So,
absolutely. Absolutely. As always, we thank you so much for joining us on Right to Choose. We look forward to talking with you, and join us next time on Right to Choose.
bye, guys.